then, hello everyone, and welcome back to EXFL. Let me just figure out where I can put this thing. There, and I think we are good. Hopefully, yep, that's all good. And as you can see, we are at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Just crossed the halfway point over in the season. We're now in the second half. Only 10 races to go, of course. And the championship has never been closer, with I believe 2 points separating F1 Union from Frankie right now. Frankie has led pretty much all of the races the season so far. Right for Tiger obviously led the first couple of races, and it swung to Ferrari, and then now it's been the McLaren and Jane chasing down his British compatriot, but he's only a lap right now. He has a Red Bull in his way. I believe that's Danny. No, it would be Robin, actually, who's actually invalidated his lap, but Jane was on his own lap, but he has not done himself well, and Jane does still set the fastest lap, beating out Oren, Enric, Senna, and Sam. Who almost goes into the crash into the pit lane, but his lap's on Inters, so he'll obviously have time to improve. And Frankie will come around to start his lap. First fly lap we can watch along today in the Scuderia Ferrari, of course, where Charles Leclerc famously took pole this season, so maybe the in real life performance can carry over onto the game. It takes turn 1 nicely, I believe. Just about hit the apex. Doesn't want to ride that inside curve too much, otherwise your rear end will be spinning. Going into turn 2, want to swing it through, carry on as much speed, open up the steering to widen out your exit into this pretty much non-existent right-hander. Now we're flying uphill. Hello. That's right.
When's the next one?
Well,
When's the next shift?
tomorrow, same time.
That's clean stuff.
Yeah. Kind of missed up final half that lap, but Frankie did go barely quicker than Jane, his championship rival, but JJ, of course, as always this season, goes just a bit further ahead. I believe he has 8 poles, I want to say, or 7, 8, 7. One of the two definitely leading the way in poles, though. The man to beat in 1 lap pace. I think he's sits 3rd in the standings as well, so he's definitely never out of the championship fight. Reigning champion, I believe. Nick also with a decent lap, or considerably far behind his teammate. 7 tenths to the good. And we also have a lap. We have Sam in the Alpine, one of the best rookies so far this season. Looking to further impress. Hopefully get some points today. Only 13 today, so might see some better results if he just finishes. And he's 1.5 seconds up on his lap. He still wouldn't be that close compared to everyone else, but obviously this is where you gain the most time on the Inters lap, where there's corner after corner. It's called Monaco that was for a reason. You have a very neat chicane, and then you're carrying so much speed for this very slow, very weird sector that you can't carry as much speed, and then it kind of speeds up throughout the section. And then we go into this pretty much just the average right-hander. gets the apex nicely, gets a good exit as well. Now we're flying into the final 2 corners. Very reminiscent of the the other one, really. As we go from the last corner, now we go uphill to the final corner. Doesn't get bad exit. He actually does get a bad exit. He'll stay offline, and he will just about keep his car intact as he goes spinning. But Sam goes P6 for that. He does beat Red Fire Tiger, who's on an outlap right now. I don't know how long's left in the session. 8 minutes left to go. And who else is that? Both Red Bulls, I believe. Yep, Danny and Robin. I don't think either of them raced last week. If did, I don't think they had a good race. Well, not last week, because there wasn't a race last week. It, of course, was Silverstone the week before. Let's just watch both Red Bulls here. Robin is now 26.7 if we do compare that with the real fastest. That is quickest in Sector 1, so then Robin is actually showing really good pace in that Red Bull so far. He clambers over that second chicane. Hits apex nicely. You don't really want to hit that bump on the inside because it will unsettle your car, but he's taking it nicely and it doesn't really hurt him. And the car really wants to give away for that sector. But a 53.2 in the second sector as he takes a lot of inside curb, as it's very lenient on that inside. And he flies through the final 2 corners. He does get a bit too trigger happy as he almost loses the rear end, but he keeps it intact, unlike Sam. But coming across the line, what will it be for the Red Bull? It's a 1:14.9 that slots in P4. Splits the McLarens and Woizo. And how about his teammate? He pits actually, so he made a mistake probably somewhere in that lap. Samuel Jake Lee also makes a mistake, but he keeps his lap time somehow. And it's paper sector 2 if the graphics right. So Sam looking like a great lap, even though he ran a bit wide there. To see if that compromises his run that any worse. There's a plentiful amount of battery left. And F1 Union actually, Sam goes wide again. He managed to keep his lap, so 2 times he gets lucky there to keep his lap time. And if we just fly up to the top, we have F1 Union now taking charge with a 14.6. But JJ is also on a second lap, and so is Frankie. So both his contenders for a pole and possibly the championship to come. Also on a lap, JJ now sets a 26.8. He's just up on his lap. Flying through, you can just see how much speed that Williams is able to carry for every single corner. Just unlocked some true potential there. And flying through, takes the curbs nicely, gets a bit on the grass actually, kind of too much speed to an extent. And now flying into the second of these, basically the left rights or right lefts. And carries it well. A lot of drivers are struggling on that exit. The rear end definitely does not like the amount of input you're giving it. And now flying into the final 2 corners, he does take a lot of the inside bumps there on the outside and the inside, but keeps it well. I think this is looking like a better lap from JJ so far as he comes across the line. It will be an improvement however, and it will be a 14.8 barely. So right now, it actually looks like Jane has the upper hand on his rivals, but Frankie, 2 attempts to the good, coming into the final sector. Will it be for the Ferrari? A 14.8. He loses time in that last sector, and he can't beat JJ. And who else is in that? Nick, he's barely up, just over a half a tenth. He uses all of his battery until the final sector, flying through, takes a lot of that curve, basically cutting that inside corner, and flying into the final 2 corners as always. Don't want to get too happy on that throttle. Don't do the exact same thing you did for the last corner, but open up your corner because it's an uphill right-hander, sorry. It's a 15.4, which would slot him P7 still, but putting a bigger gap to say on Oren and Sam behind, who barely split by anything. And Red Fire Tiger 10th right now, barely a millisecond behind Sam. Not what the 3-time champion would expect right now. Danny is also starting his lap. It looks like that Red Bull's kind of leaning to the left-hand side then. Don't know if that was just me. But Danny pushing on, flying into the second sector, fit into the second corner, really. And carries a lot of speed. It does look like a pretty good sector 1. And definitely has a lot of grip in that Red Bull. At 26.9, so I think that's only a tenth or two off what Jaden and JJ and Frankie have been setting. And same there, rear end is definitely not liking how the cars are set up today. But clambers over those chickens, uses those bumps to an advantage, and that inside the curb does basically irrelevant to this Red Bull. And now flying into the final right, well, these two corners, the fast left right, he does go a bit wide, and that is his lap gone. So he will have just enough time to get back out again. But he will be pushing it though. He has one more chance to set a valid lap time, and not risk being behind Will. And now we wait, because everyone is just waiting for that perfect time to come back out on track with just enough time to go, and then we will be done. And now we are starting to see some of the drivers coming out for the final lap. So Will is on a final flying lap already, just getting one done. Oh, he has actually slowed down, so he's probably just doing a second out lap. And there we go, he will. And red flag tyres on a Sam's on out lap. Sam, Moiser, Robin. I believe the favourite is Sam. So it's a leader. 7 tenths basically is the gap from Sam till Jaden, so he has a lot of time to gain up. But last time out Sam did take pole at Silverstone, so anything is possible. The at great pace lost the win on half a lap to go, not even a couple of corners. Last lap punch, hopefully doesn't have the same thing happen to him again. There goes, I believe, Nick, I think that was. Turn 1, gets an exit briefly. Does have a bit of a invisible curb, but it takes a while. He does use that outside curb, and this kind of bumps you off where you want to be. But it's being a good lap from Sam right now. Let's see what the timing is. It's a 26.7, so that's a very good first sector, very respectable time. And chucking it into the, I think that's turn 5. And now we're going into the very technical, probably the hardest part of the track. And I did just miss that, but he did just go wide, and I think just ran a bit wide. Same thing as every other driver has been struggling at, it's just rear end grip. But let's fly up the top though. Just look at everyone's laps. JJ is about to start his final lap. Frankie hasn't crossed the first sector yet, but Jaden is barely down in his lap time. So no one's yet to challenge, but Robin is on his final flying lap. Woizo has spun it, so he won't be in contention for pole. He's currently P5. Let's just see where Robin will. Robin's lost a 10th, so he's lost a lot of time in that second sector. Maybe a mistake there. But let's just see. What's Jaden's time? Jaden's found a 10th. Let's just see what F1 Union has to do coming across the line. And we have one corner to manage from that McLaren. Let's just see what it will be for the Papaya car. It will be a 1:14.4. He finds more time in that fast sector. Now let's just look what Frankie's doing. He's not found enough time, so he needs 4 tenths in these final two corners. He has a bit of a rear end snap on the penultimate corner, and the rear end then just sliding on the entry. What will Frankie do? Will he be able to get on the front row? He does, 2 tenths off. JJ has found barely under half a tenth, but you can just see how just locked in that Williams looks through the second sector right now. Let's just wait and see what this time split is, as it just looks perfectly managed. He's not finding enough time though. Still, Jane looking like the man to beat, who's showing a lot of pace now at McLaren so far. Who will take pole? It's basically Jane versus JJ right now. Oren, his teammate, goes up to P10. JJ has one corner to go. Will he take pole? No, he doesn't by not even a... Jaden takes pole by 0.2 to a second. That is a massive pole time at one of the shorter tracks on the calendar. And I believe that's one of his first poles of the season. Oh, apart from, I believe, Spain. Or and Austria, maybe. I know he got pole in Spain. And there's your qualifying order then. Any outliers? Red Fire Tiger did sneak up into P4 in the end. Well, out of the blue. Now we wait for the strategies. I believe it's a 2-stop from what I'm remembering, Tier 2. Of course, with Hungary basically being corner, 10% straight, not even that. You will probably want to have fresher tyres at all times. But, as we saw in real life, track position does come in handy. Actually, if we just look at this, now we can see it's everyone apart from one is on the medium tyres. So, if JJ doesn't set that, it's a medium, of course, but, no. Nick going to hard? I'll just wait and see if they do keep the hards or they will just go to mediums. And we're on the formation lap already. So I thought a lot of the cars just win there. But let's just have a look here. Yeah, okay, so JJ went back onto hards, well, mediums, and Nick is now the only one on hards, doing the offset to Jaden. And will probably be at a offset to everyone else for a long time. And is that... yeah. And now we skip through the formation lap. Now we wait for the lights. Of course, one of the more... well, Jaden's missed his parking. So that might help JJ quite a lot. But as we go to the lights, that might help that Williams. And this is one of the more important starts of the season. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 red lights. And we are racing at Hungary. I think that's a great start from JJ, who is actually a better start from Jaden, who's covered off the Williams. And now JJ will still try the inside. He's gone the grass already. Down the inside goes the Williams. He will barge his way through. Red Fire Tigers having a look down the inside on P3. And he actually gets past Jaden as well. He's gone from first to third. Lando Norris cheering in the grandstands as Red Fire Tiger makes a very risky dive for Jaden. Those two are rivals, as clearly we've seen throughout the season, as Jaden's now down to 4th. He's racing his championship rival Frankie now, who's managed to get ahead of the McLaren. He's had an awful start, as Red Fire Tiger though has managed to slot himself into P2. What a start from that Mercedes, as Robin almost fancied his chances to P4 with the falling McLaren, as he almost has a look into the chicane. And EXFL Senna, what a start from him. He's got past Nick on the hard tyres, of course, but we cannot forget the GOAT is in action. The Lion does not care for tyres. But JJ, sorry, I keep getting the J's mixed up. There we speak of the devil. Will has actually gone and binned it as soon as he's in the points. He'll probably retire after a lap. But going back up to the top, JJ has a 6/10 gap to Red for Tiger, and the gaps have all kind of grown immediately already. But what a start that was, and JJ stamping his authority against Jaden, F1 Union, and takes the lead, and he might be able to just control this till the very end, as the nature of the Hungaroring. Overtaking is very difficult. You have pretty much 2 opportunities, 3 if you're brave, but I think that's Danny getting past Nico. Oh no, it was Salvadric Lee getting past Danny, I believe. And there's Will and is that Sam? There's Will and Sam battling, and there's Will spinning, getting pretty much killed by Sam then. Not very respectable racing. Should really leave a space when there's a car on the inside. But right now there's no cars on the inside of anyone. There's a safety car? Is that virtual or is that full? I believe that's a virtual. I haven't seen the safety car pop up, I believe. Of course, that is for Will. Has he got a wing? He has not got a wing. And that has actually helped, well, hindered his rival that caused him to pretty much have no wing. And Sam actually the only one with a drive-through from that. Let's just hope the leaders don't get affected by this as well. And yep, that's just further confirmation. I think has Sam got 2 drive-throughs then? That would be hilarious if he's managed to get 2 drive-throughs. He actually has as well. 2 drive-throughs in a single virtual safety car and a spin in the background for good measure. That has to be one of the most random things in the EXFL history. 2 drive-throughs under 1 virtual safety car. Don't know if that's just a game glitch and is just showing 2, or Sam has genuinely got to go into the pits twice and go probably 2 laps down. I'm gonna hope for the latter, but pray for the former. However, has Red got DRS? He has got DRS, but of course one of the shorter DRS zones on the calendar. But it is Red Fire Tiger we're speaking of. And he has got his biggest rival just ahead of him. And Sam sped in the pit lane just a boot. So 2 drive-throughs and a 10-second and a retirement. Oh, I think Frankie's on a spin. I think, yeah, no, Frankie has gone into the wall. I think he's just hit the, oh, I think the outside curb has just done him in. And that is Frankie now hitting a rock bottom in this race, as he will kind of be forced to go into an offset and strategy as Enric has a 3-second penalty as Frankie spun. Has he gone? He's just about kept his car in a piece. He has reset to track, but that is Frankie's championship lead pretty much all but fallen now. 2 spins in the span of a lap. That is Frankie gone from 3rd to 11th and last. That is not what he wanted. You can just sense the distraught, and JJ's also gapped the grid by a second now. So Red Fire Tiger is pretty much out of options to attack, but he still has that defense, still has defense to put on ahead with Jane and Robin just there, with even Woizos in the pack. And his teammate Sam Drake as there goes Frankie in the pits. Hopefully he has the hard tyre allocation. He can just do 2 sets of hard till the home run to the end. But that is horrible. Just look to the top at the timer screens. Red JJ just stamping his authority at the front, just really just stretching his wings out there. And now Red for Tiger's pretty much got a train forming behind him. Jaden trying to break it, he will go around the outside, but Red Fire Tiger doing Red Fire Tiger things will storm down the inside, will just drive Jaden off track. We'll keep it side by side. There is a bit of contact, so a lot of argy-bargies. Red Fire Tiger will try and go around the outside of Jaden. This will turn into the inside. Robin's pretty much giving them a budge. Red Fire Tiger down inside. They have made contact. Jaden spun now, and Robin's also in the wall. Massive contact and even more drama in the Hungarian Grand Prix. Everything is happening in these last couple of laps. Robin and Jaden are now gone. This might help Frankie again. So he now has a chance to come back. Has Jaden got damage from that, I wonder? He hasn't, I believe. He's managed to keep both of his end plates. Robin definitely has damage. He took that force into that wall. But that has thrown another spanner into the works. Red Fire Tiger being Red Fire Tiger. And just aggressive as always, pretty much. And pays a price. JJ 4 seconds out in front, and was it worth it? Really? But what it will do, however, is give Woizo quite a scare to not try. He will moves on the braking to try and get him. Gets a bit of a tap in the rear end from Samuel Drake-Lee. He's now being swarmed by everyone around him. Woizo managed to get away scot-free. But Red Fire Tiger, he locks up Bill Willow by Samuel Drake. Doesn't want to put the throttle too much on that inside curb. He will spin him. So Red Fire Tiger holds on to P3, still on the podium. He does run wide though, so Samuel Drake-Lee will go around the outside. There's a bit more contact. Reddy's fighting for his life out there right now. Just trying his absolute hardest to keep on to a possible podium. But that Mercedes doesn't have that much fight in it, it seems. Well, the driver does, but the car doesn't. And now, right back to it. Jaden's already pretty much caught up to this pack. 1 second the gap, and Red Fire Tiger just about survives. That gap, I want to say that gap was floating around the 9/10 mark then, but I don't think it was. It's Red Fire Tiger has clawed it back quite a lot to Woizo, who I think he got second last time in Silverstone after that amazing last lap and a sudden resurgence from the Austrian to, I believe, claim his first podium of the season, or he may have gone out Australia. Yeah, he finished second to Jaden, and it's also second and third to well, these two were where they finished last time out, with Samuel Drake in fourth, but it wasn't to be for him last time. But last week's race winner is dead sixth after that. very iffy racing. There's Nick and Sam. Nope, it's not Nick and Sam, it's Sam pulling the pin on the undercut. If you can't overtake Red Fire Tiger, you better just try undercut him. That's, I guess, what the drivers are thinking right now, as I believe that will be hard for Ferrari. And Nick is probably someone who's benefiting most from all this, getting track positions without even need to overtake and still having the better tyres to use. And I kind of just caught that one right on the right as it happened. Oren getting a 3 second, one of two to get a 3 second, luckily for him. The only guy with a 3 second is the guy behind him. And whoop, there goes Oren and Enric. Williams versus Aston Martin. Well, if this was ever two drivers, then I would be asking some severe questions. And Enric around the outside. These two battled quite a lot in their Tier 2 days, I think. Actually, no, Enric was the season after Oren. Yeah, both drivers won a lot of races in Tier 2, however, and neither claiming a championship. I believe both having the most wins in the season, despite not claiming gold. Oren claiming the title for most wins in a EXFL season. But, well, I believe he has 10 wins in that season, but unfortunately no gold trophy for him at the end, but losing it by only a couple of points in the Aston Martin, funnily enough. And Enric went on a very good run during the last season in Tier 2, winning many races by upwards of 20 seconds. Very dominant force on his day, and now with a bit more strengthened competition, these two Tier 2 powerhouses are kind of struggling to find their footing, let's just say. But there is real skill there, and give them time, they will be able to show it. They're still running in P6 and 7. 6, 7. I think that's F1 Union has now pit off those mediums. He will be undercut by Sam, of course. But let's just see if Frankie can possibly gain on him. It will be close. Jen just comes out ahead of the Red Bull and Ferrari, so Frankie's not out of this just yet. So it looked like he was all said and done after he spun twice. But thanks to some blessings by our Lord and Savior Red Fire Tiger, it looks like Frankie can come back and possibly, maybe, just beat Jaden. It would be a task. Of course, he has 6 lap older tyres, and I'm not sure what the tyre delta is, but it could well be quite bad. What's the gap of Britain? Yeah, it is 2 points. The gap right now with JJ 40 points off the rest of them. And if anything, this helps the Williams more than it helps either of those two. Of course, it doesn't really help either of them because they're P7 and P8 and 10. But JJ will be gaining at least 21 points on P2 in the championship and 21 points to Jaden and 24 points to Frankie. So as it stands, JJ will be right back in the championship contention after a very long string of bad luck. Because there's Oren versus Enric again. Sam Jake Lee's just trying to get out of this with his fresh tyres. There's Oren in the background. I'm just going to keep that camera on him. And there's the Williams that he has just parked it on, just letting everyone else past. And it was looking promising. He was, of course, had a pit stop to make. But now Enric's all alone in P6 without a buddy to fight. We'll have Jaden very soon if he is stretching a one-stop, which would be very ballsy. I don't think these guys are, because I definitely don't feel like you can. But I definitely can see JJ. If the one-stop is a possibility, then I can see JJ trying it because of, well, the gap he has to Nick right now. So, let's just see. He has 13 laps on hards to do. Nick's done 11, so I can probably assume that the one-stop is very likely for these two. I don't know what Jaden and, well, Jaden's and Frankie would be doing then. As there's a yellow flag, that's Robin. I think he's had a spin. He's lost a lot of his front wing. As he has a 3-second time penalty as well. I'm going to assume he goes and throws in the flag. Throws in the towel. Sorry, that's the saying. So this is a teammate also being overtaken. There's Oren drifting his way into the pits. I'm sure he wants to go back on LMU. And Robin. Oh, I thought Oren retired then. And no, Danny's thrown in the towel, as I assumed. And there's a cheeky battle for you. Jen versus Enric. McLaren versus Esteban. 2-lap old hards versus 12-lap old mediums. You can tell which one prevails. And now, funnily enough, he only has 10 seconds to Red Fire Tiger. So Red will be on quite fresher tyres, but is Jane going to just try this very aggressive undercut? I'm 100% certain Frankie isn't able to go to the end, but a safety car by any means, and this race turns on his head, and it suddenly comes right back into the Ferrari's hands. But right now, I believe it would be Jane taking the championship lead. We would have a new championship leader for the first time since. Let's just have a look. Frankie took the lead at round 4 in Saudi Arabia, and has held it up until round 11. Of course, we have 20 laps to go. 20 laps, Jesus Christ! Forgot how long this race is. So, actually, now I'm starting to think that undercut isn't possible, because I thought it would be 10 laps to go, not 20 laps to go. There's a yellow flag. That's Danny. Both Red Bulls spinning in sector 1. Oh, it was Robin who spun. Oh, okay. I thought the Red Bulls mixed up. Okay. Whoopsie daisies. And Woizer's now coming to the pits to get rid of those mediums, because he's done a long stint on those. And well, as I was just about to mention possible Woizo undercut, but if JJ was extending it a bit longer, then maybe it could have. But out comes the Williams. I'm assuming he will keep the lead. Jaden, of course, taking the provisional P1. I think, yes, because well, these two are two stopping, I believe. Well, three, because Frankie will also join them. I'm just also wondering when Nico will possibly pit. Because, well, we've known that a fairly big issue for Nick this season has been his tyre wear. Hasn't been able to keep those rubber tyres as well alive as long as possible. Something others have mentioned before, and even though he is on the hards, I just wonder how long those hards can go. His pit window is open now, so I'm assuming, well, now is pretty much when he will pit. But he might want to try and extend it by a lap if he has enough. He has still got good enough pace, or if his tyres are too bad already, then he will feel free to jump in as soon as he can. Fair to say, all the action has pretty much, well, fizzled out right now. As we're in that weird point in the race where strategy is kind of the main point, but hasn't really started to fizzle in, well, sizzle yet. So right now it's just really give it time is basically the way to say. And something I've only just noticed, but I don't know what happened. I've definitely missed something, but in Voizo and Red pit fairly the same. I didn't notice Red coming to pit, but Red's actually lost, well, I think 7 seconds. I've definitely missed something, but I don't know what I would have missed. But Red Fire Tiger's lost, well, a lot of time to Voizo. Maybe Voizo just extending that gap from that undercut. Maybe Red made a mistake and paid for it. I'm not sure, but something happened to that Mercedes, and now he's, well, behind Frankie even for P6 right now. It would be afterwards. This race is definitely a slow burner right now, but after all the excitement we had in the early half of the race, then paid in full. Pace base is the way to describe it so far. See how aggressive Jay is driving that car. It does not seem like that does not look like a man who's planning to not stop again. And suddenly, Jaden's car, well, Jaden's mirrors is full of blue, and it's not facing the sky. That is JJ. with 5 laps different, 5 laps the tyre difference, and in DRS striking range. He will have a teammate though to just help him out though, but he's just basically just driving on a leg. Hope some gas and fumes is kind of what's powering Nick's car right now. But he's still going. I'm assuming he'll probably let his teammate pass and just hold up. JJ will be a bit of a McLaren masterclass, as they have done a lot of those in the season. Jaden does go past. What will JJ do though? As Nick will hold to the inside. He will go very defensive, but not enough to stop JJ. He will go down the inside. Nick left defenseless at the DRS, and right back to how it was. And without his teammate ahead, it seems like JJ is now in third striking distance to claim P2 on track right now. And now we've come back to the basically the one and only chance for an overtake now, as we've kind of seen throughout this race. Jaden won't have the DRS though. He just missed it. He will go very aggressive to the inside line, hugging as far out. He does smooth a bit over, but JJ will go around the outside. He will have the grip. JJ will have the track position. Very imminent of him versus Red early on. Hopefully they don't recreate it fully. But JJ ran down the inside. Jane ran outside. All tyres versus fresh tyres. Championship rivals almost coming together. Jane backs out of it. PTSD kicking in for that McLaren. Don't want to have another tussle up there. And Dirty Air kicking in as well. And now it's 8 seconds to Woizo, who's on 4 lap pressure tyres instead of 5. And now, is that Danny? That is Danny doing donuts. As well, now it's basically Samuel Drake Lee's turn to we'll face that Williams. It does also have a penalty though. Can't remember when he had the penalty, but actually, while I'm here, actually no, let's just watch on board the Williams and Ferraris. Let's just watch this Williams, see what will happen. Any excitement, or will it just be a very clean, straightforward pass? JJ to the inside, well, to the outside, sorry, Samuel Drake Lee to the inside, and quite fiercely defended, but Samuel Drake Lee holds on to P1 right now, as he does lock up. JJ will try swing it around the outside, and Sam shows him the door, well, shots him the door. JJ down the inside though, quite aggressively to try and take P1. They're going to go side by side through this entire sector. Samuel Drake Lee will just hold on. Jane just watching back with wide eyes, hoping for something. And Samuel Drake Lee, I know, but JJ will go down the inside of the chicane. Oh, this is brilliant racing, and Samuel Drake Lee just about holds ahead. And this entire lap has pretty much just been side by side so far. JJ just not having any chance of an overtake. So that Williams just sitting frustratingly. I don't know if this is looking like a battle for the end of the race, because there's, well, still 10 laps to go. But I don't know. I don't know if this will be like inverted at the end of the race. I don't know if this is how it will probably end. But there goes Sam peeling off from the pits. He made a very fun lap 22, and as I think that's Nick. I think going slowly. Was it Enric? I don't know. There was a yellow flag there, but for someone, I couldn't tell you. There goes red. Back up to P4. Still that 6-second gap to a point. I don't know where that has even come from. Maybe the Alpine just found some more pace. Moiser has had got a good pace in these last few races, and finally getting a chance to prove it fully. Oh, speaking of which though, Commodore SK is almost striking for Wise with that massive save. And yeah, just about managing to keep that car in a straight line. Any worse than that was going to go into the barriers and his race over. As well, almost happened to Frankie, who's very lucky to still be in this race and fighting for chance. He will be going to the end on his hards. So Frankie will be racing for positions, and he will have Enric ahead of him. And this race is very weird because I have no clue what's going on for strategy. So it could be a one-stop, it could be a two-stop. I don't know what's going to end up being the better. While I'm here looking at these standings, let's just see if there's any other on-track or off-track championship battles right now. Stelios versus Sam. Well, Stelios isn't here, and well, I believe he's watching Greece play. I believe, or if that was BRL. Stelios tied with Sam, 18 points apiece. Battling for Rookie of the Year. I think that's the title I'll call it. Of course, we obviously have the championship battle, 2 points to the good. But of course, JJ's back there with 132. He's, as it stands, well, if we're not including how it would stand, he is closer to Red Fight Tiger than the front, and that's a bit of a battle there. Off track, on track, and in the car and in words, basically. And that gap is 20 points, but that gap will be growing. As it stands, Red Fight Tiger hasn't been able to even do much to the top guys at it for the last couple of races. I think his last win was still Bahrain, so it's been that long since we've seen that Mercedes take the top spot at the podium. Of course, a lot of incidents in the way of a P1. Alex versus Ferdinand 30. Well, Woizo versus EXFL Norris. EXFL Norris not here today, but has been a bit on and off in the attendance, and well, Ferdy has as well. And well, Ferdy has been racing a fair bit more in the last couple of weeks. Now the Alpine, well, the Mercedes teammate isn't here. Well, Alpine will be taking P7 in the standings, and then solid 50 points ahead is Samuel Drake, who then finds himself in P6, kind of in no man's land. He has got Nick just ahead of him. Well, in the standings, he's just ahead of him on track, and Nick's on mediums, which he will be taking those to the end. 15 laps on mediums is quite an ask, though. I can't remember how long JJ did on Woizo, but I think they were like 13s or 14. Yeah, looking back at it, another 20-point gap between Sam and Nick. Battle of the second drivers, and of course that then carries over to the battle for the constructors. 18 points is the gap between Ferrari and McLaren. The Papaya outfit holding firm at the top right now, but the Scarlet Red obviously never out of it, with a very strong lineup in Sam and Frankie. Merca then 110 points off. Doesn't help when one of the drivers doesn't race, and the other one tries his best to get as much penalties as he can. With, I think, Red Fight Tigers leading in incident points this season. only a couple away from a race ban. And after the first 10 laps, we will be looking very dicey. Let's just say that. And what is also very dicey for him is the fact that he has a Ferrari all up in his rear end. Other battles, other Austrian battles. Even Oren is still in that battle for P9 in the standings. He's there with 14 points compared to Sam and Stur's 18. If he manages to get Enric, and well, get back Enric after that spin, then possibly Oren will be joining, well, tied on points with 9th in the standings. Even Enric's there with 12, so both these two will be slotting themselves in a conversation for a top 10 finish. Enric also in the conversation for Rookie of the Year in that case, or season. Oren, of course, not a rookie, this is his second year. Other battles down the grid, we have Danny vs Logan. Logan hasn't raced since Jeddah. Surprised he's in the standings. Danny, 10th. Would be extending a gap. That's, well, 14th. And then there's 4 drivers currently without a point. Josh Hewitt, Alejandro Bustamante, Will, and Callum, who hasn't raced. Also, I believe, if I just go back to the standing, well, things were reserves. Yeah, basically. Funnily enough, Robin was never actually a full-time Red Bull driver, which I always thought he was, but no, it was Josh Hewitt in that seat. And Josh finally lets go of the Red Bull seat. Only did a race. And we have 6 there, of course it does it now. Always does it. Never gets old. Yeah, so looking back at it, it was never a 2-stop and it was always the 1-stoppers. But Chin will have a very, very hard task to take those hards at the end. 6 laps to go with 18 laps. They will be over 20, like 4 laps old at the end, I think. So he will be holding on to threads as it finds. JJ will probably walk away with a very dominant win. Probably the biggest gap of the season. I don't think we've had many, well, walk away with standalone victories this season. JJ won in Imola by a big margin. Let me have a look. Another gander at the standings, as always. Race results as well. Last week was only a 2nd. Week before that was a 10th. Then the week before that we had 5 tenths. Gap before that we had 6.1 seconds was Imola. And if I just scroll till Saudi Arabia is also 5 tenths. Bahrain was a 2nd, Saudi Arabia, well, what was that? Japan was 4 seconds, yeah, so 6.1 what is the biggest winning margin this season, and it will basically be confirmed if JJ doesn't get a time penalty. That gap will, that record, brackets, will be extended. Voizo is actually slowly catching Jin. That's a battle I haven't been keeping tabs on, and suddenly that Alpine is looking for like a P2s on the cards. His best, well, tied best result of the season would be back-to-back P2s. 2nd place, something Voizo is very familiar with. all the way back in Season 1. Oren sets the fastest lap. And Frankie's also had a very good comeback drive. He will lose a spot to Nick, but that will be between P7 or P5 for, well, probably P6, as everything would end. Let's just have a look at the entire penalties charts. Yeah, 3, 3, 6, 6, yeah. Oof, Frankie almost crashing on the final corner. I'm assuming Frankie is catching red and, well, Nick is catching Frankie. Yeah, the only real on-track battle as it stands, that battle with P5 will probably come down quite quick. But it's Voizo versus F1 Union. The battle as old as time. The Season 1 Championship contenders, including EXFL Senna, but he's out. I believe Voizo lost it by a couple of points, and Jane only managed to take a single win. Or not a win. It's one of the two stories. But Jane came out of nowhere to win that first season. In the McLaren, funnily enough, and Voizo was in a RB? Toro Rosso, as it was back then? I don't know. I wasn't around. I joined the season later. But yeah, these two definitely have a lot of races together. Know each other very well. Of course, two owners, well, formerly of course. So, respect is always there. And something that's also helping Jane is Danny just being a nuisance with the DRS right now. On those hards, just existing. And his existence is kind of making Voizo's life very much more difficult. But Danny will probably get a penalty from the game for ignoring blue flags. Unless he can manage to gap the both of them. Tell you who has gapped all of them is the Williams. 9.5 seconds out in front. Quite dominantly. Probably going to take this over to 10 seconds anytime now. But this is the only real battle you can really commentate on. That gap is, well, suddenly actually shrunk between Red and Frankie, and the gap between him and Nick, has grown. So Frankie's found a sudden burst of pace, and considering Red's earlier race antics, a single 5-second penalty would send Frankie up to P5. And if Jaden was to get overtaken by Voizo in the next couple of laps, then possibly that gap would only come down, well, be 4 points the other way. So, still, definitely, damage limitation is, well, as its finest for Ferrari right now. And he will go down the inside of the Mercedes. Red moves under braking. He will try and get the switch back on the Ferrari, but to no use, as Frankie does have track position down the inside. Red will still try and throw it around the outside of him though. And Frankie firmly shuts the door on him. And that's the Ferrari up into P5. Red's tyres probably at the end of their life. Yeah, 17 laps. And there's Jaden has lost 22 laps on those hards. Very valiant effort if he can hold on to that P3, P2. But it's looking unlikely because he has that Alpine all up in his mirrors. Enric gets a second pen. Now though, going back to it, the battle for P2, Voizo with DRS, Jaden without it, but he has used all his battery. Voizo down the inside, Alpine versus McLaren, Voizo, oh, bit of contact. Jaden just kind of closes the door and Voizo kind of has to back out and goes kind of sideways there. But the Alpine lives to fight on. He has one more chance at turn 1 to try and dive it down the inside and hopefully rewrite the wrongs of that last lap. And that gap is also going to 12 seconds. So JJ will be kind of just in a world of his own. Almost lapped his teammate. Speaking of that, on comes into the pits. Well, he didn't really have... He wouldn't really lose much. But now, we will start the final lap with our race leader. Hang on, Frankie? What has happened to Red Fire Tiger's pace? He got overtaken 2 laps ago, and has already been cut out of 3 seconds. Frankie has found an insane amount of pace in those hards. Yeah, it's 5 laps of difference, but... That is insane. But now, the final lap of the race. Red has disconnected. Oh, dearie. Don't think anyone's down here inside the switchback. The entire goes Woizo. Jane will have the switchback. Samuel Drake Lee's joined the fight for P2. So that becomes interesting. Samuel Drake Lee has that penalty, so that will kind of be nulled out. Woizo will go down there. It's like kind of argy-bargy of Jane. Robbie is racing, as they say. And Frankie to the inside. Samuel Drake Lee even gets past Jaden. The McLaren down to 4. Frankie's there with P5. So that gap, well, even then, if Samuel Drake Lee was to get out of, well, his pen removed, then that gap would only be the level, I think. But we immediately have to go back to the top, because the only word I can describe this race was, well, utter domination in the end. Didn't even take pole, but took the lead in lap 1, hasn't done anything, well, hasn't done anything else to lose it, and JJ will take home his 3rd victory of the season with a win at the Hungarian ring. And why is it the wall? What the hell? What the hell's just happened? I didn't even see that. But Sound Jiggly and Woizo, I think, came together. Woizo's just thrown away a podium. Jaden takes home 2nd. Frankie comes down to 5th. I think he got a 2nd time penalty at the very end. He must have. Huh? I don't get that, but... Well, no, because they both had a penalty. Actually, yeah, no. Woizo keeps a podium, but P2 falls right back out of the Alpine Tans, and Jaden takes back P2. I have no clue what just happened, but out of nowhere, the Jaden just gets a penalty out of nowhere. Not penalty, sorry. A podium out of nowhere. And there's the final podium. He still takes P3 with 30. And there's Red. But not Red. There's JJ taking home a victory. I believe that's his 3rd. Of the season. 3rd or 4th. However, that championship gap has been shrunk down massively now. The gap between Jaden and 30, I believe, 4 points. And that gap down to, I want to say... No, it would be 6 points then, because of P2. Actually, out of nowhere. So that gap is actually 6 points, but JJ still there. He's slowly crawling back that gap, and if we're lucky, we could see a 3-way fight for a title in this second half of the season. That was EXFL, the Hungarian Grand Prix at round 11. Round 12, I believe, will be, I want to say Zandvoort off the top of my head. Belgium. We go to Spa, home of one of the drivers, Kian, or Gekabel, the first Tier 2 champion. And one of the best tracks on the calendar. Of course, Eau Rouge, Stavelo, one of the most iconic corners, and of course, one of the more iconic tracks. We will see you this time next week in Belgium. Goodbye.